Now I'm live. Okay, just wait. Just wait. I think I figured it out. But I still won't be able to hear you, I don't think. I don't know. And that's going to be really brutal. All right. Oh, man. Matt Muller, 5717. Thank you for becoming a new member. That's awesome. I'm seeing stuff, but I'm not seeing stuff. People can see me, apparently. I can't see me. Can't see what's going on there. Oh, man. Oh, this is... Live streams are so stressful, guys. They really are. They're... I hate it. Now, that is turned off. Thanks, Carl. Okay, you guys can see me. And can you hear me? Because I can't hear myself. I need to go to settings. Hang on a second here. Audio and... Yeah, we should be able to do that. Let me see. Okay, so I got that. Now, hang on a second. No, come on. Nope. Okay, so that's not going to work. Silly. Okay, whatever. Okay. Menace to Society. You can hear me and see me. That's perfect. Misty can hear me on the other end. I had this whole big fancy like late night intro all set up, and we've just been doing technical stuff. This is brutal. Okay. Now what did I do? Oh my gosh, guys. I hate this. Oh, Misty, I'm so sorry. I'll try and read your lips. Okay, let me. I'm going to add you to stage right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to bring Misty on, and we'll see if you can hear Misty, even if I can't. There's Misty. Whoa, I can hear you.
You can hear me now. Okay.
Yes.
So I've been added.
Are you people at home getting feedback? That's what I want to know. We need to move this just a little bit that way. Okay.
My daughter's listening in, which is super cool. She says she can hear me now. So.
Okay. But are they getting feedback with you? I'm wondering. Because my mic is right beside where the audio is coming out. I'm going to move this over here.
I'll ask.
Any kind of echo. Oops. I'll move that over there. Now, I want to find what happened to my people. Oh, go up here. There we go. All good. Okay, Eric Sweet's here. Excellent. Okay, Tidy for You is here. So that's Ian. Neil's here. ADV Red Bikes. Excellent. MyDV 360. Jeremy's here. Jeremy Latham. Awesome. Just going through some of the things. All right. Excellent. Oh, Kitty's here. Cool. Carl's here. Yeah, we mentioned Carl already. Thank you. Summer's here.
Oh.
Yeah, your sister is here. And let me see. How do I do this now? Oh, nope. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'm just gonna leave it. So, Misty, how's it going?
It's really good. I don't know how you manage technical stuff because I would stress way more than you stressed. You're managing. It's all good. We're here. Everything's
I don't know how I manage either.
I think you just add like extra stress to your life by doing lives or something.
I think I do. The lives are kind of fun though.
It's my first time doing an official live, so thank you for hosting me.
Well, yeah, I know, because you kept on posting tune in and listen in, thinking it's like a podcast or something. But no, yeah. We are here. We are live. in the flesh, so to speak. And what happens, happens. There's no editing, no nothing. So if we mumble our words and fumble our words, then that's what happens. That's the great part about it. Excellent. So we missed you at Gliffy this year.
I know. I was coaching at Laguna Seca. So
isn't that awesome? Bet you that feels good to be back coaching again, eh?
Definitely feels good to be back coaching again. Laguna Seca is an awesome, fun track, and yeah, but I was definitely sad to miss you guys. It's you know, I'm lucky enough in my life that I have all these wonderful opportunities, and I kind of have to go like, which one do I pick?
Yeah. You know who wasn't sad? Scott, because without you there, he was able to win the slow race.
Scott. See, he didn't say that, but
yeah. So Scott Collins was the big winner this year for the slow race. So yeah, if you happen to make it next year, then it will be a champion against a champion, if you will.
Ooh, yes. Game on, Scott Collins. I'm coming for you.
I don't know if they'll be tuning in or not. They're on their way to Mexico right now, on their way down to Baja. They're traveling. But yeah, we're going to get right to the meat and bones of this whole thing, and that is why.
I don't know. Why?
I don't know. So apparently, for those of you that don't know, Misti Hurst decided to write a book, and her book is on Kickstarter, and the official Kickstarter will be launching on the 11th. Am I correct?
Correct. Yes.
So you can go there and help get this thing off the ground. I have tried writing a couple of times, and I know that is no easy feat. So it must have been a bit of a brain crunch for you to, because I know how busy you are on a day-to-day. Like, when did you find time to? Have you just been jotting little things down throughout your whole thing and then kind of compiled them, or?
Yeah. So basically I've been writing stuff since I started riding motorcycles. You know, once I started, then I got into racing, then I started writing race reports. Then I got noticed by a couple magazines saying, you know, we like your riding style. We're not used to having, you know, female motorcycle racers and riders. Would you like to do some test riding? Would you like to write some articles? And, you know, I was like, yeah, of course I would love to do that. That sounds great. And so for basically 20 years or so, I've been writing articles for mainly Motorcycle Mojo magazine. That's been my longstanding column. But I also freelance for other industry magazines. I write for Adventure Bike Rider magazine as well. Mm-hmm. And basically over just the years, I've amassed this, you know, massive amount of content. And, you know, I was just sort of thinking one day, I got all this stuff, I got all these stories to tell. I should really do something with it. And next thing you know, I sort of organized them into sort of categories and printed something out and sat there and went, whoa, holy cow, I think I might have a book and multiple multiple other editions, because this is just the start of it. So
that's just the surface, is it?
It's just the surface. So when I organize it, and check this out, because you know, probably everyone that's on right now is just my friends and family that I've coerced into being here. So they will know that I'm not a very organized person in general, but I did this fancy spancy sort of little organizational chart here. And this is just all 250 plus articles I've written over the years, organized in categories. And then I went, actually, there's enough content for at least 4 books here.
Wow.
In all the various different, you know, disciplines that I sort of participate in. And so the logical first step was just sort of, you know, almost chronologically, but also the biggest sort of change in my life. And that's when I found the Superbike School.
Right.
Super quick story. I started riding motorcycles, no idea what I was doing, trial and error, crashed on the street, went straight into racing, crashed racing a bunch of times. thankfully found a sponsor who sent me to the Superbike school, which basically changed the entire trajectory of my life. Learned the skills, improved my racing, became a coach, sent my life on this whole fun trajectory. And so the first book in the series is basically about finding the Superbike school, becoming a coach, and then translating a lot of the skills and things that we teach at the Superbike school through stories and examples and just real life explanations. So part
Awesome.
moto manual, part memoir, part guide, part, I don't know, storytelling adventures.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. In the comments there, Corey posted a link to your Kickstarter, so thank you, Corey. Corey's one of my admins, and he's all over it. So thank you. Anybody who's watching, you can just copy and paste that link, and it'll take you directly to help and get this book off the ground or printed.
Sweet. Yeah,
because it's done. So I had 10 questions for you here, and
oh boy. Okay.
I gave you a little bit of a heads up on some of them, so you could be a little prepared, because we didn't want you stumbling. Although I don't think you're ever at a loss for words, are you?
they tend to come out fairly easily.
Yeah. So you kind of already answered the first one, and that was going to be what inspired you to write this book. So maybe we'll just sort of expand on that and say, what inspired you to write this book now, rather than 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or maybe 5 years from now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about right now that made you think, I need to get this book out?
That's a super interesting question. And basically it just sort of hits on, where I am in life. And, I have a big birthday coming up in just a month and 2 months ish.
What's that?
And
35?
yeah, again, a few times. So there's a big milestone, and I've always been fairly goal oriented, and I have a huge list of goals, and one of them was to write a book. And just with the way everything is happening in life, you sort of hit this age, and definitely as a woman, where all of a sudden your body just decides, we're going to change up a whole bunch of things, and we're going to start screwing with everything.
Right, right.
And some of that is really starting to realize, like, what, their life is short, and I don't want to piss it away with doing stuff that I don't love to do. And what do I love to do? Well, I sure love to coach motorcycle riding, and I sure love to teach people how to do that, and I sure love to write stories. So what better way than to finally put those all down? I'm just I don't want to waste time. And I
Right.
know you'll appreciate this sentiment, especially right now, is like, there's no time to lose, man. So
Yeah.
get on it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. So you mentioned the coaching and stuff. So the first book, you have enough for four episodes or 4 publications. The first book, how much of it will be your personal experiences on the track versus life off the bike? Is it going to be mostly bike stuff on the first one? You can have a little bit of personal stuff in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely personal stuff intertwined. It starts with sort of the story. How did I get involved in riding? How did I end up at the Superbike school? It includes, aspects of, like, what is it like to be a student at the Superbike school? And then what is it like to be a racer that's being coached by the founder of the Superbike school? And then also, what is it like to be a coach at the Superbike school? So it's a very unique perspective, because I truly think I'm the only person in the world that has that sort of experience
Right,
with
right.
the Superbike school. Like, I went there as a student who had no idea what they were doing on the bike, and had to experience that whole process of what is it like to show up thinking that you're a good rider. I mean, I showed up thinking I was hot shit, and thinking that I was going to, like, prove how fast I was, and I was going to impress everyone. And then I was like, no, you did not do that. In fact,
There's a little bit of humble pie for
wow,
you.
you do not know anything. And so it was like a slice of humble pie. It was a great experience to be a student. It was a phenomenal experience to see how the skills that I learned at the school directly translated immediately to my next race, results. I was going seconds faster immediately, all, less crashes. Um, and then to become a riding coach and to be able to write about that. And then anyway, long answer to your question is it's filled with all sorts of little
Right.
anecdotes. There's the story of how I became a coach, what it's like day-to-day coaching, but then also real examples of like what happens when you target fixate on, the gravel in a corner. What happens if you get on the gas too hard and you're suddenly flying through the air? Because I stumbled through it all. I low-sided, I high-sided, I crashed on the street, I crashed on the racetrack. Like I've
Right.
tried it
Right.
all.
Yep. Yeah.
So the idea is just to write about it, I think in a very realistic way. Um, sometimes I find writing manuals or reading about skills very technical and very um, difficult for me to follow along because I like things that are very simple. I like stories. I like examples, and so I think this is written in just a simplified way with real life experiences that sort of,
Right.
I don't know, explain it a little more maybe.
Right. So that kind of brings me to the next question is if readers were to take away just one thing from your book, what do you hope it is?
Ooh. I th That's a really good question. I think it's probably the willingness to be a student, to just open up and say, "You know what? Regardless of whatever's, level of rider I think I am, uh, I'm gonna just expect that someone will be better and faster, and I'm willing to open up and learn from that person, whatever that person's, yeah, just to be willing to learn from various people, I think is
Right.
really important.
Right. A thought just popped in my head about writing the book for you now. Um, is actually kind of a good time to do it because everything you say now about coaching, if you write another book in 10 years, it's going to be slightly different again. So you can rewrite it, right? Because I'm sure your career as a coach, as technology of motorcycles have evolved and advanced, coaching style has evolved and advanced and slightly changed throughout the whole career too, right?
Yeah, and I think I can always draw from my own experiences and my own examples of, just teaching in various scenarios. So I've been able to teach in India and I've had wonderful student experiences there and teaching in other places around the world. And then also just, teaching kids versus teaching adults and like riding in the dirt versus the track. I think I can just pull from my own experience in a multitude of different, like, I'm always
Yeah.
experiencing life, so I can utilize those experiences and then explain them, tie them into different stories, right? Like, I mean, you mentioned the slow race earlier. Well, I wrote
Mhm.
an article about the slow race because, yeah, you know what? As soon as there's a race, like game on, I'm gonna win that race. Like, and the funny thing was that it was like, okay, now it's not going fast. It's going like, who's gonna be the slowest? Well, who cares? Because it's a race and I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
um, but even more so of that was like, what are the skills involved in doing a slow race? How do
Mhm.
those skills translate? I mean, the whole time I was doing the clutch and throttle there, I mean, my hands were getting tired and I was so afraid I was just going to dump the clutch and launch myself. But
Yeah.
it really came down to just this mastering of the skills, and those skills translate. So the more you can practice them and write about them and share them and teach them, the better that people will become overall, right? I mean, how many people just go do fun slow races and come out of it thinking, I just learned some really super duper good skills on throttle control.
Yeah.
Right? They don't. And yet that's what they did. Even I learned something like, okay, I know how long my hand will last now. I know what pushes the envelope. I
Mhm.
know I learned things. And so I think no matter where you go in life and who you interact with and what you experience, you can step back and say, what can I take away and apply that to becoming a better person in general?
Right. You mentioned earlier that you teach both youth and adults. So I'm curious, which demographic gives you the most grief or the most guff, the hardest time? The kids or the adults?
That's really funny. I'm going to tell you straight up, the male adults give me the most grief.
That
Uh,
honestly, that doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't, knowing men. But carry on.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think what's fascinating in general is that regardless of whether or not I'm coaching a 4-year-old child, and yes, I have worked with the kids as young as 4 years old, all the way up to 80-year-old students, the challenges and the struggles are the same. So like you have a little 4-year-old kid who's just learning throttle and they're like "Meow, meow, 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 meow," and they're on and off the gas and they need to work on smoothing out the throttle. Well, guess what? So do the adults that get on that are learning throttle control. And then typically the next thing is they're looking like 3 feet in front of them down at the ground. And then, the kids are doing that too. And so are the adults. And so you adapt the communication style. I adapt my physical level. I'll get lower down to kids. I'll teach
Right.
in smaller little chunks. I'll word it differently. Um, but in general, I'm teaching the same things, which is so remarkable and so fascinating. And typically, kids and women in general tend to be better students because there's this willingness to just let everything go and be like, sure, whatever this teacher is telling me, I will take and try it.
Right.
Um, Sometimes it takes a little bit more emphasis to teach the men.
You're
Just
so
saying.
polite. You're so polite.
Sometimes. And there is a chapter about that in the book, which I
Oh,
really
okay, good.
struggled on whether to put in the book or not. But it's called, Oh, Great, I Got the Girl Coach. Because that is a very real reality that I get sometimes is straight off the bat, just a perception
Mhm.
of what my skill level or speed level will be compared to the male coaches.
Right, right. How many of your students are aware of your racing history when they take the course? Like maybe some of these guys are just like you say, like, oh great, I got the girl coach, but do they
Mhm.
realize that you are a pro racer or we're a pro
Yeah.
racer?
You never know, so a lot of them don't. I mean, typically speaking, and I'm definitely not gonna, paint male students as these horrible
Yeah, yeah. No,
demographics
you
by
know.
all means. Like most of the time, 95% of the time, the students are awesome. People are great. I'll get, male students that are like, "Oh, sweet, I've heard about you," or "My friend worked with you," or like, "I used to watch you racing," or whatever. They're stoked. They don't care. They're just stoked to be there. Um, every once in a while, I will get a student or two that doesn't think that way, and you can tell is just
Mhm.
unsure about my abilities to potentially keep up with them.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would probably run into that myself in my field. I think people just generally do in their professions when they're educating. You're always going to come up against that one individual. But you, unfortunately, being being the woman teaching a man, you've got that extra little thing against you. From a selfish standpoint, I am women in motorsports fascinate me. I'm all for it. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, we've kind of beat a dead horse already, and we keep going on about this, but it gets me going. I like it. I like seeing more and more women in motorsports on the bikes doing stuff, and like you blazing the trail as you have is just been absolutely amazing. So kudos to
Cool.
you. All
Thank
right.
you. I appreciate that very much.
We'll go on to the other questions now.
Okay.
So this one came up, and I had actually talked to a few cohorts and friends and stuff, and that's where these questions came up from. And one of the questions was, so did writing the book teach you something new about yourself or your journey that racing never did? So
Ooh.
obviously you're writing a book, you've got time to reflect, you're reliving. So was there a teaching moment there? And maybe you.
Yeah, actually, there has been a huge teaching moment. It's been actually very surprising. And mainly that is just around my own self-confidence.
Mm,
And, in a lot of scenarios, I think I can present as pretty confident. Um, but when it came time to say, I am going to write this book and tell everyone about it, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. What if people don't read it? What if they don't like it? What if they don't think I'm good enough? What if, what if, what if? And it really knocked me down.
wow.
And I was kind of surprised about it. I reached out to a lot of people that thankfully I have a huge network of incredible people that were able to sort of talk me through it. I really wanted to make sure that this was something that was well done. It would be well received. It was valuable enough. And I sent it to some pretty high up there people that one button click to send
Yeah.
was so hard. Um, and it was terrifying. And then I
Yeah.
let it out there for a while. I didn't hear anything back for a while. I was
Right.
stressing, and then finally getting word back like, nope, from someone I very much respected, of like, no, you know what, this is good. And then since then, being able to go back through old networks of people, getting phone calls. I got a phone call today from like just an old sponsor of mine who was just like, Misty, like, I just read this, and like, you better write this book and you better tell the world, and I'll help you, and I'm going to do whatever I can. And like, rah, rah. And
Right
I was
on.
just like, what? And so, yeah, the lesson was very much like, okay, we all come across these hurdles of like self, depreciation. Like, am I
Right.
going to
Right.
be good enough? And terror, like, it was terrifying. And then emotional roller coasters. Like, I think I cried the entire first day that I sent out the Kickstarter link or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
my website, just because I was getting really lovely responses back from people. And I was just like, oh my God, people like believe in me and they like me, and
Yep.
it's hard. And so like, even though there's that, like, there's still peaks and valleys. So basically, yes, it's taught me a whole lot about fear,
Hmm.
about pushing past that, about perseverance, um, about relying on like the coolest people in the entire universe. Like, I'm just so blessed to have all these people in my life uh, that support me, and that I think has just been like so, I don't know, life giving, I guess.
Right. Right. I like I you heard me say wow when you said that, because if anybody is watching this that haven't met you in person, you come across confident AF. Like you're just oozing confidence. So to hear you say that about writing the book, and you being, a writer by profession, and then to be, feel really vulnerable about it, that tells me that this book is like 100% you. Like it's you. So I think anybody reading this is really going to get to know you pretty deeply. Am I wrong?
No, I'm kind of like open that way when I get there. But also, like, I think that's what makes, like, that's what will tell the story the best is I literally had no idea what I was doing when I got on a motorcycle, and I am very lucky that I'm still alive. Let's just put it that way, because I rode like an idiot on the
I've
street.
heard some of
What
the
I
stories.
thought was cool was not cool.
Yeah.
What I thought was fast and amazing was not fast and amazing. And I lost friends on the street. And so I'm very thankful that I'm still around. And the fact that I can get messages from people that say, you literally saved my life because I was riding around on the street and I ran wide in a corner and I heard your voice and I knew what to do and you saved my life. That to me is like, okay, this is a really, I have something that I can share with people that could make them better, safer, faster riders. I
Mhm.
could save someone's life. You know what? I'm going to do that at the risk of, putting out people not liking my book or, at the risk of whatever. Like, if I can help someone, and I think that's been the lesson too, is I've been able to like get messages from people that I didn't know that I inspired. I didn't know that they got into racing because of me. And just in the last, even few days, I've had the nicest messages from people that I've interacted with a lot that never told me this. And now they're saying like, you're the reason I got into riding. You're the reason I race. You're the reason I did this. And I'm going, what? That's so cool.
That
Okay,
is
well,
cool. That's great.
let's go. Let's like inspire more people. Let's get more girls on the grid. Let's get more people riding. Let's get more people going. You know what? Like, if that girl who didn't know what she was doing on a motorcycle can figure it out and go that far, then maybe I can too.
Yeah. That's awesome. Perfect. Back to our questions.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let me see. All right. So racing and coaching. It says here, you've competed at such a high level. What's one lesson racing taught you that still applies to everyday life?
I didn't pre-read your questions, by the way.
No?
So I don't know I don't know where you sent them, but I like didn't get them. So
Perfect. All right. Hearing it for the first time. Here we go.
hearing it for the first time, that is tricky. What's one thing racing taught me that I apply to everyday life? You know what? Like, when the flag drops, man, it's go time. So like, sometimes you just go and
Right.
you don't have all the balls and you don't have the ducks in a row. You don't have all the balls lined up. Like, my balls are all flung in the air and I don't know when they're going to land. The ducks are all crooked. They're all like drowning. I don't know. Like, I think once the flag drops, you just go one foot in front of the other. You just keep going. So like right now, the ball is rolling. The Kickstarter's going, the website's happening, this is going. I'm on the hook for printing a book. I'm having to learn all the steps and sometimes I just freeze and I go like, I don't know how to do all this. Maybe it's not going to work. And then I just go, you know what? Like, the flag is dropped, one foot in front of the other, like,
Right.
finish the race, finish the race. And you figure it out. You fake it till you make it. You get to the finish line. You just get to the end of the race.
Just get her done.
Deep thoughts.
Perfect. Let's see here. What's the in your coaching here? What's the most common mindset block you see new riders struggle with?
I would say, besides thinking that they sort of know everything already, like, yeah, I know that, or um, I think maybe thinking that, just some more experience or some more ride time or more confidence. Like, I always hear people say that, well, I just need to get more confident. And I'll fire back and say, well, what, are you just going to reach in your back pocket and like find some more confidence? It doesn't happen that way. Confidence comes from knowing what's going to happen next, from knowing what to do, from understanding the controls well enough to know, if I do X, then Y is going to happen. that's where you get confidence. It's not a little magical thing that happens.
Right.
So I think just sort of understanding that is you just don't like randomly wake up one day and you're just confident. You become confident when you know what to do. And, from experience, I high-sided a bunch of times racing and I had zero idea what I did wrong. And I just went like, oh, it's part of racing. Racers crash. That's what happens. You just crash. No big deal. Well, yes, you know what? It is a big deal because I didn't know why I crashed. I didn't
Mhm.
know what I'd done to contribute to the crash. And I didn't know how to prevent it from happening next time. And so it wasn't until, through the Superbike school and learning the skills and, they have a great bike called the slide bike where you can go and practice sliding and there's
Oh, that's
outriggers. Like
pretty
it's
cool.
super cool. So then you go out and you practice that. And so then guess what? I'm a coach. I'm out on the track. I'm chasing a quick student. I come around turn 5 at Laguna Seca. I get on the gas a little too hard. The rear starts sliding, and I think, oh no. But now I know what to do. And instead of like last time, I didn't chop the throttle. I didn't panic. I went, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to keep it like, woo. And off I go. And I remember just thinking, like, I just didn't crash. I just did not crash because I knew what to do. And that gave me confidence. Like, okay, I can
Right.
manage this situation. I can stay calm. I can be relaxed. I can get myself out of it. So I think just being aware of that fact, like put in the work, learn the skills. It's not magic, but it's not that difficult either.
So confidence comes from practice, repetition, and knowledge, basically.
I think so.
Yeah. Next one. All right. Back to the woman thing.
Oh.
it just happens to be the next question. So, as a woman carving your place in the racing world, what were some of the biggest barriers you had to come, and how did you tackle them? I could imagine there would have been quite a few obstacles and barriers.
Yeah, I think again, I think I'm lucky in that, I'm social enough and I'm comfortable enough, around men in particular, like all the sports I used to do, etc., made me feel very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So despite the fact that I was the only girl typically at the track or in big groups, that didn't bother me. I think what did bother me was just when people initially looked at me and expected that I would fail because I was a girl.
Right.
So my first AMA race, I showed up at Sonoma Raceway and, I'd coached there before, but I'd never raced at pace. I didn't think there was going to be much difference. And then I realized very quickly, holy crap, when you get on track with the fastest riders in the United States, like it's different. And they were very fast and they were making it very clear that at that particular time, I wasn't fast enough to be on the track per se. And they made it clear that I wasn't maybe welcome or tried to at least.
Right.
And that was hard. That was like, well, why are these guys specifically passing me that close or making this much of a point? And there was a few comments of like, they don't think you belong here and such. And that was, it's hurtful, but then it's
Mm-hmm.
also like, unfortunately for them, it gives me more energy. So then I'm like, hang on a sec.
Would have fired you up for sure, right?
You don't think I can do that? Well, I gotta prove you wrong. So in my world, it just gave me the fire underneath me to actually prove them all wrong. And I use it as like ammo to say like, okay, I'll take your little, disbelief and I'm going to put it in my pocket and prove you wrong. The bigger picture is most of the time that didn't come into play. Most of the time people were like, you know what, we think what you're doing is super cool. Do you need help? Just like any other racer would,
Right.
Male, female, whatever. Do you need help? We'll help you. We'll support you. Get out there, do it. and then the response when you actually go and do that, and then you are the only girl on the track making those grids, making the races. That was pretty cool too. It was to, positively influence little girls and parents and such at the track who would then say, like, we didn't think it was possible for a girl to do that, or my daughter didn't think.
Right. Yeah.
And so
That's
that
cool.
I think was the most special to me. And
Yeah.
I'm revisiting some of those memories now, which is really special as well. Is like,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious. You mentioned like the skill that you got from racing was to put your foot down and just see the finish line. Do you think you were always like that even before racing though? Do you think that was like little Misty was like that as well?
Well, that is true. I mean, I did like any sport I did, I was like that. So I used to run cross country, and like, well, you see, I have my little fidgets right now because I'm fidgety. But I used to have like a little battery that I carried, and I ran with this little battery, and I would win all the cross country races. But that was like my battery pack was like, I'm gonna win this race. But for me, like, I've always been a super competitive kid. So yeah, you're right. You nail that. I've always been very competitive. I've always been determined to sort of, win. If it's a race, that's the goal.
Right. Right.
I think the difference was when I found motorcycle racing, it was like all the other sports were cool, all the other stuff was fun. When I found motorcycle racing, it was like, oh, finally, like, this is the sport I've been waiting for my whole life. This is what I know is meant for me. And, it was wonderful to find it eventually. It was a bit frustrating to find it at, 24 years old.
Right. Right.
Because it felt a little bit too late.
Right. Right. But it's felt like something you should have been doing all your life.
For sure. As soon as I got on a motorcycle, was like, I wish I was 4 years old and did this. And
Right.
that was one of the questions I got all the time when I was racing pro, was how come there's not more girls racing at this level? And my response was, well, because we didn't start at 4 years old, right? I was racing against, guys like the top guys in the States, and many of them started at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And it was normal for boys to be riding motorcycles at that age, not normal for girls at that point.
Right.
It is now. My daughter rides. We go to the track. There's 30, 40% girls. And it's not unusual. So they look at me weird when I'm like, oh my gosh, there's girls at the track. They're like, well, why is that weird, Mom? I'm like, of course there's girls at the track.
Right.
So it's definitely changed in that perspective. And I do appreciate and love that. But yeah, it wasn't always that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've just noticed myself in the 40 some odd years that I've been riding. And, used to be, you go to events and women were only on the back of the motorcycles. And now you go to events and it's pretty near 50-50 now, which is great. Yes. So that's awesome. Let me see. So here we go. You've balanced roles as racer, teacher, writer, and mom. How do those identities feed or clash with each other?
Well, let me tell you this. Being a mom is the hardest of all of it, okay? And I have a degree in child and youth care. And so my whole intention in life was always to work with kids. And I did work with kids and have worked with kids. And working with other people's kids is way easier than working with your own kids. So it's a challenge. For sure. It was a challenge when I quit racing because I wasn't, necessarily 100% ready to quit racing. But my biological clock was like, you need to make a decision. And it was hard. I hired a life coach at that point, and it was a very, very challenging decision because one of the biggest things I had always wanted in my life was my own children. Mm-hmm. And then to have it sort of conflict with, hang on, I'm at the height of racing career pro stuff, but like, I better get on this. It was really, really hard. And not something that, my male racers had to face.
Right.
And so that was tricky. And I did quit after 2 years of racing pro to start a family, which has been, phenomenal. My kids are like, it's crazy how fast it goes. And love all aspects of that, but balancing it is also hard. It's not typically normal for the mom to travel so much, the mom to go, and it's also like we're wrought with mom guilt. And so on one hand, I love coaching and traveling and being away. And on the other hand, every time I go do that, I have to be away.
Right.
And so there's a huge balancing act, and that wasn't present before the kids. It was like, okay, these are the dates I'm gonna coach. This is what I'm gonna do. And now it's very much like, how do I balance all this?
Right. Yeah. I'm sure they're pretty, they kind of get it though, right? They're like, oh, mom's off coaching now, or oh, mom needs some quiet time because she's going to be writing now, or that kind of stuff. Do you have it sort of set up like that, or no?
Quiet time that I'm writing is whenever I'm trying to be quiet, they're standing in front of me with like signs. I'm surprised they're not there right now. Like, Mom, I have a question. I need something. And you're like, literally just on a meeting right now. Emergency.
That's why I bring it up, because it's like that at my place too. It's, you try to do something and
that's why I'm downstairs sitting awkwardly on a chair by the fireplace, because I'm hiding from my family. And yeah, it's different now because they're older and they don't care if I'm here or gone. But like, when they were little, like it's hard as a mom. I cried the first time I went coaching. I stood in front of everyone and I was like, my name's Misty. And like, this is my first time away from my kid. And like, I'm so sorry. And he was, a year, and I'd left him at home, and he was crying, and it was just awful. Like,
and there starts the title, I got the woman coach.
Yeah, I got the girl coach, and I'm like sniveling, like, I left my son at home.
Yeah. We got a question here in the chat there. And
people are listening.
Mike wants to know, so is it easier dirt to street or street to dirt for the transition for new riders?
Ooh, okay. So I think that's a really tough question.
Well, it tends to be a little biased, I think.
Okay, I'm going to say I think street to dirt is easier because the danger's coming the other way. When you get dirt bikers to street, I find it's typically harder to coach out of them the bad habits that might kill them on a street bike.
Okay.
So meaning, dirt bikers are, used to sliding the front, sliding the rear, shoving the bike underneath them. They like to be squirrely. They ride like this. When you get a dirt biker on a street bike for the first time and on the racetrack, I can always tell. I'll go, you're a dirt bike. Oh, how did you know? Okay, well, because you're riding like this. Like this.
Yeah.
You're sitting really close to the tank. Like, it's very easy to tell. And the problem with that is when you take the dirt bike body position and you put it so aggressively on a street bike, you just really push the traction limits of a street bike, and you can very easily low side.
Right.
The reverse can happen as well. Like when I go dirt bike riding, I tend to try to go around a berm and I lean with the bike and tuck the front and crash. It tends to be a little less drastic than the reverse, I think. Now, it also will depend on, like, have you been dirt bike riding for 30 years or 2? Have you been, whatever your habits are, regardless, there are skills that don't translate very well, and some people have harder times knocking those bad habits out of them.
Right, right.
But really
So,
good question, like good
yeah,
question and awareness.
which brings me to throughout your coaching career,
Mhm.
have you ever come across an individual that just you're just like, just don't ride. You like they just don't get it. They just can't make it work.
Ooh.
You don't have to say any names.
Yeah, I would never say anyone's
No, no.
names, obviously. For sure, there's been some times we have students that come to the school, and usually the misunderstanding is that they come to the Superbike school thinking that like maybe we teach first time riders, or they don't
Mhm.
know, they don't need to know so much about how to actually ride. Um, when you come to the Superbike school, you need to know the basic controls. You need to already know how to ride a motorcycle and get around, per se. So we've for sure sent people back saying like you need to actually be able to learn to ride a motorcycle a little bit better, before you can come to the school. We've had that scenario for sure.
Right.
On the flip side, for sure, we've had some students that really struggled to get the concept, or really struggled to get up to a certain pace. You know, sometimes we'll have students on their own bikes, and then they're barely going, 50 miles an hour on the straightaway, and you're like,
Mhm.
you had to ride on the freeway to get here. Like, how can you not go 50 miles an hour? Um, and so there's definitely people that, struggle to get past certain barriers. I think in general, we can coach a lot of that out of people and teach them, but for sure you'll come across a person here or there who maybe shouldn't continue with motorcycle riding.
Right.
It's rare though, I would say,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'm curious, like for myself, I mentioned like I've been riding for 40 some odd years now, and I've never ridden a crotch rocket or a race bike. So for myself, how would you teach a fella like me to feel comfortable in those corners?
Well, again, I don't think you need to be on a crotch rocket or a, fancy sport bike or whatever. I mean, I was just at Thunderhill Raceway and had a student on, Harley, and the guy ripped.
Yeah.
And the point of it is more about the fundamental riding skills than, like being all aggressive and looking like Mark Marquez or Rossi on a sport bike, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so if you came to the school, you're going to get the same lessons as, a pro motorcycle racer on a sport bike. It's just your throttle control is going to be throttle control on whatever bike you're riding. We're still teaching, once you crack on the gas, you roll it on, smoothly and evenly throughout, and we don't want choppy throttle, etc. But your version of throttle control is going to be this versus, pro racer, who now we're talking of like "Rah," and dialing this in and getting the
Right.
fine tune little aspects. But regardless of what bike you're riding, if you're a street rider, you can come to the school and improve your throttle control, improve,
Mhm.
your understanding of where you want to turn the bike, what makes a good line, where to, focus your vision so that you, interpret the visual skills as best as possible so that your outputs are really smooth. Um, yeah, so it all translates regardless of whether you're, a crotch rocket, sport bike racer.
Right. Right. Um, so you teach down in California, right?
All through the states. It's
All
called
oh,
the California Superbike School, but it's US wide and actually worldwide because we have multiple franchises and branches,
oh,
throughout the
okay.
world.
Okay. So if anybody wanted to look at getting into a course, then they just check out California Superbike School online
Yep.
there. And
Yep. So superbikeschool.com, and you'll get the US branch, and we teach at, a dozen different tracks in the United States, anywhere from, California, Ohio, Virginia, Texas, Arizona, a bunch of different tracks all over the States. And then there's also Superbike schools worldwide. So we have an Australian branch, and they run schools in Australia, Taiwan, India, a few other places. We've got a UK branch, same thing. We've got schools in Poland. Yeah, it's quite awesome. I get to go and teach around the world. So
Wow. You
uh,
taught at mostly all of them, or all of them for sure?
I haven't taught at all of them. I've gone to a bunch of places. The travel is a huge perk. I'm actually
Right.
off to Australia on the evening of the day of my
Right.
launch because
Right.
I just have to like put it all on the
And
table at once.
you're off to teach in Australia, correct?
Off to Australia. I'll get to ride with the Superbike school there. I'm continuing on to Taiwan as well. My family's coming. We've got some family in Australia, and yeah, I'll get to go back to India. Yeah, it's good
So
experience.
back to the book then. There's obviously going to be a lot of travel mentioned in the book, and maybe some travel horror stories or mishaps or
Okay, good question. So the first book is mainly experiences as a riding coach and skills that we teach through the Superbike school. A lot on visual skills, a lot on what is good throttle control, understanding some of the general mistakes or typical mistakes riders make, understanding fear and survival reactions. And then that's the first book in the series. And then the subsequent other editions, one of them, yes, will be dirt and adventure riding focus for sure. So I write for Adventure Bike magazine. So I do have articles all, covering things like, water crossings and when to stand up and how to navigate, ditches and, tight switchbacks on an adventure bike. And then, of course, all the travel that I've been lucky enough to do, tours in Spain. I rode in Nepal, which is where Scott just came back from. So that was
Yeah.
a cool circle of sort of awesomeness that I love. And then also, yeah, there'll be a series on more of the travel and adventures, and then there'll be one that will be just specifically focused on the Moto Mom experience.
Right.
So what is it like teaching a 4-year-old how to ride a motorcycle? What is it like to be scared for their safety? What is it like to see them race? How do you teach kids, over teaching adults? What do you have to watch for? Just the raw, real emotions of, cool. Now I saw my kid huck himself and break his wrist, and now I'm at the hospital all day. And, how do I manage these emotions?
Right.
So yeah, multiple, like I said, multiple editions, multiple stories. One of them will be very focused on the race experiences. And those were really cool as well. What was it like to be a privateer, with no money, driving myself across the states, racing against the top guys that have, $1 million budgets. What's that
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a lot of content, a lot of stories that I can tell.
That's awesome. How, not to get jump too far ahead, but like I know that the first launch is going to be successful. How long will people have to wait for the other editions to come out? Are you already working on those other editions, or
Basically,
or is it going to be like the Star Wars thing where we got to wait like 2-3 years for the next episode?
well, it just depends on how this all rolls out. So, basically I'm learning the whole process with this first rollout.
Okay.
The second, third, and fourth editions, I mean, they're pretty hashed out as well. So they're chunked like this already. It just becomes a matter of, being super organized, raising the funds to, be able to, edit it, get the cover designed, get it printed, published, shipped out. That's been a huge learning as well, is,
Right.
The difference between self-publishing, traditional publishing, Amazon versus, print on demand, Kickstarter versus sponsorship, like a ton of options. And it's been, a lot of research, a lot of step-by-step checklists, like going through things.
A lot of
But
stuff.
yeah, I mean, I think once this process happens and the first one is done, it should be fairly seamless to roll through with the other ones. And I mean, that's just a portion of the content that I have. So I've also got 3 draft children's books written. I've got 2 novels in the works. Like my brain is exploding with writing. And I just feel like I should just hole myself up in a, dark and stormy cabin somewhere and just write my heart out.
The floodgates have been opened then.
Right? I think so.
Look out. Any consideration or thought towards releasing as audiobooks as well, or are you just going to keep it all printed and digital?
So within Kickstarter, you have, the regular goal amount, which is to produce, the basic version of the book that we want to produce. But then you have stretch goals on top of that. And so the stretch goals, as we go along, do unlock aspects of that. So one of them unlocks like some stickers and decals or decals, or depending on where you are, is it decals or decals? And then one of the stretch goals is an audiobook. So basically you try to achieve your goal amount, and then anything over and beyond that will go towards things like sticker packs, better, paper, foil embossed, fancy little ribbon, bookmark,
right.
And it's kind of a community thing. So basically Kickstarter's crowdfunding support, and it's all or nothing. So if we don't reach the goal, you don't get funded. The concept being you need that goal amount to produce the book that you're promising.
Yeah.
And then you sort of get community backing, like, okay, as a community as a whole, like if we pump this up a little bit and pre-purchase some more, then all of us are going to get better paper, better quality, better this. If we reach this goal, all of us get free stickers. If we reach this goal, all of us will then, get to watch Misty stumble through trying to figure out how to do an audiobook.
You're right.
Listening to my voice some more.
Might be a little bit too far ahead as well, but what about potential plans for like book launch signing parties and things like that, signing appearances and whatnot? Have you put any thought into that?
I hadn't, until this dear friend of mine was like, we need to do a launch party. And she was so sweet because they used to launch party support me when I raced, and we did like these car washes and raising funds for that. So I hadn't thought of it. Yes, I think it's a fabulous idea. Once I actually have a copy of, I think, a physical book, then we can start doing, some really fun, live in person or signing or book launches and things. And I think one of the biggest goals that I have with something like that is to give back to the youth or to other riders. The biggest lesson out of all of this was I was given a hand up by the most generous sponsors who sent me to the California Superbike School. And if I hadn't have had that, my life would be entirely different. I could not afford to go to the California Superbike School on my own. And I will be forever grateful to that, that person who sent me to the school. And I want to give back. And so one of the ways to do that then would be to do some launch parties and some sponsorship.
Excellent.
And to say, like, let's raise this amount of money so that not only, do we, hopefully get these books out and helping riders in general, but then we get to send or pick a kid that, gets to train under Misty to hopefully get that shot at racing that, I'm thankful that I got eventually. Would it have been cool if I had found riding at 7 years old? Yeah. So if I can find a kid at 7 years old and get them to a point, I think that would be the full circle in my life.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's what, life is about, really. It's about giving back. If something good comes your way, you pass it on and you keep giving back. So I like hearing that. I want to see that. And to make that happen, people need to go to the Kickstarter and get on board and help get this book off the ground, right? So all of
Yes.
you watching,
Yes,
the
please.
Kickstarter link has been posted in the comments numerous times. Just go back, copy, paste. Let's get this book going.
Yeah.
One last thing. Let me see. There was, this one here. Oh, wait. Tom Barrero is online. Hi, Tom. How's it going? And he had a question. He wants to know what your personal ride is. Do you have an adventure bike?
No, and this is a funny story. I don't really have a lot of my own bikes. Right now I have a YZF 125 for motocross, and then I have a KTM XCW 200 for enduro. I don't get to ride either of those very often. The goal is to get an adventure bike or a dual sport. My sister's bugging me a ton to go riding more often with her. So yes, long, short answer, whatever. Those are the bikes I currently have. Ideally, yes, more local riding. I'm fairly lucky in that if I want to go for a ride, I can usually find something to ride. But yeah, more of my own would be lovely.
Is there anything out right now that has caught your eye?
Honestly, again, my sister's gonna probably laugh. She'll be turning in her grave at some point. But like, I just like riding. I'm not the type of rider that follows along all the latest bikes and figures out the specs of this bike and that
Right.
bike. And I really actually struggle to care, to be perfectly honest. I ride motorcycles because I like to ride the motorcycle, regardless of what it is. Give me a motorcycle and I'll have fun on it. Yeah, my brain is too full of all the other things, like how to ride them better than what their specs are and such.
Right.
So yeah, I just like riding anything and all bikes, and
as long as it has two wheels and a clutch, you're ready to go.
There you go. There you go. I'll try anything.
Yeah. Let me see here. So if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, that's the one. So I guess that would be, you said 24?
24.
You started. So the one just starting out on two wheels. So at 24, what advice would you give her? What advice would you give 24-year-old self?
Geez. I think I would say be humble, shut up a little bit and listen more. And yeah, I think that is the big thing. Just shut up and listen more. Just be a little bit more open to what's around and who you can learn from, and be better at asking the questions. It's a life, it's a goal of mine to be better at asking people questions about them. Sometimes I get a little bit stuck when I'm talking to someone and I'll ask a question. Oh, what do you do? And they'll be like, oh, I'm a astrophysicist. And I'll just be like, cool, I failed math 10. And then I don't know what else to say to them, and I feel like such a loser because I don't have an intelligent next question to say. And then I'll feel awkward, and then I'll just be like, do you ride motorcycles? And then I'll just start talking. And I think the lesson would be to just figure out, how can you ask a question. And this is a good coaching, something I've learned from coaching as well, is if we don't know exactly what the student is doing, right? Like I'll be like, damn it, the student, every freaking time they're running wide on this corner. Why are they doing this? And I'll stress and I'll ruminate and I'll try to figure out, why are they doing it? Well, sometimes the simplest thing is just to ask them, what are you doing here? And so I think the same thing applies is if someone says I'm an astrophysicist, instead of just blanking out and panicking, just be like, okay, well, what exactly does that mean? What do you do in a day? What explain it to me, because I don't know what that is. And just to
Right.
give a little bit more patience to understand and learn a bit more from the incredible people that, I'm very lucky to get to interact with and meet each day. And I don't want to miss out on the wisdom that is potentially out there, because I don't know what question to ask.
This book is obviously, you're rightfully pretty proud of it. Aside from the book, what would be your proudest or most favorite, your bestest writing piece that you've done in your writing career, aside from the book? What's the one that stands out the most for you?
Speaking of Nepal, there's a charity that I support. It's called Himalayan Life. And I was able to write a piece for a magazine called Wired for Adventure. So it's kind of the sister magazine to Adventure Bike Rider.
Okay.
Outdoor focus, etc. The guy that runs the charity Himalayan Life, Daniel Berge, he lives here in North Van. He's a friend of mine. He's the most unassuming, humble dude you'd meet. And this guy is like saving Nepalese children and educating them. The guy is just incredible. And the amount of kids that they've been able to educate and teach and basically give love to, who wouldn't have received that anyway, is outstanding. And I was lucky enough to go to Nepal with them. I did this incredible motorcycle tour. I got to see and meet some of the kids that they've helped and supported along the way. And none of that felt like I was giving back in any manner until I was able to write the story of Daniel. And basically this guy, he rode over the highest mountain passes in India and Nepal on a bicycle to raise money. He's not a pro cyclist. He's not anyone famous, or he's just this guy. And he thinks that what he does is just not spectacular. And it's so spectacular that I was very thankful to be able to write about it. And so it was a really beautiful piece. We had lovely photos to go along with it. And I was just really proud of that, because it was just my way of saying, like, you don't think you're special, but the world should know how special you are. So I was able to write that. And that was a pretty special piece, I'd say.
That sounds pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. What a cool thing to be part of and to actually be able to see and be there for. Your book is sitting there on a shelf on a bookstore, and somebody's going through. Why should they pick it up and read it and purchase it?
I think because it's written from a perspective that is very unusual, that most people won't find. So you're going to get, not only do you get the professional expertise of someone who's raced AMA, who's been a long-term California Superbike school coach, who's traveled, etc. You're going to also get the grit behind that, what it took to become a coach, what it's like to do a day at the Superbike school, what it's like to be a girl in this environment of all males, what it's like to experience seeing a student just finally get the technique and excel because of you. It's the bigger picture. So it's not just, if you want to go faster in a corner, do A, B, C. It's if you want to go faster in the corner, do A, B, C, and here's why we know it works, and here's a story about it, and here's another story about it, and here's an example, and then here's why it's awesome.
Right.
Um, it's the whole picture. And honestly, for looking back, it's the book that I would have liked to have when I was 24-year-old me going, well, I don't know what I'm doing on a motorcycle, but I'm just going to show up and do it. And I'm interested in everything because, like, I just like bikes, but I don't need all the technical details, and I don't need it to be this much. I just want to
Right.
know, like, what does it feel like to rock into a, you know, racetrack for the first time and smell the race fuel and want to become a coach and or race? And what's it like to see a student excel at something? And what is it like to ride a racetrack in India? Like, cool. Um,
Well, it
I
sounds
think it's
sounds to me like this book will appeal to just a general reader too, not just motorcycle enthusiast. And it sounds like you're kind of setting it up for that.
Well, I think that's kind of the cool part too, is
Mhm.
that, there's lessons that I learned from all of this that apply to regular life. And so not only is it a story about me, it's not even a story about me. It's a story about, life going this way and finding a passion and learning things and becoming better at something and then seeing other people become better at something. And it's sort of like the bigger picture, and it can be enjoyed, I think, even by, I have mom friends that are like, what, you race motorcycles and you write a book and you have kids and you drive them to school in the morning, like, what? And they're asking me questions like, how did you keep riding as a mom? Because I have a lot of mom friends who have just had kids, and then they're like, how do I keep riding? And maybe
Mhm.
my husband says this, or my friends think that, or whatever. How did you persevere? um and sometimes it wasn't easy. I mean, I would have teachers like roll their eyes at me like, you let your kids do that? It's so dangerous. Or whatever. And I
Yep.
get judged sometimes. And it's like, you know what? This is the bigger picture. It's what do these life skills teach? And then also, what does this teach your kids?
Mhm.
My son is 16. He just got his L driver's license. Well, let me tell you, it's scary as hell getting in a car with a kid that just took a written test and now they're allowed to drive you in a car.
Right.
Step one.
Yep.
However, I think it's a lot different that my son has been riding motorcycles and racing them since he was 4 years old. So
Mhm.
he already knows how to merge. He already understands how to shoulder check and look for other vehicles. He already knows closing speeds because he's passed kids or adults at massive closing speeds. His skill level is way beyond most 16-year-olds that have ever been in
Right.
a car before. So there's life lessons as well. What did he learn from his races that other kids don't know? I think it's a bigger picture.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. And they say, I think it's been scientifically proven, but they say motorcycle riders make better car drivers.
Ooh, okay.
So your son is already off to the races.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Not good, right? Yeah. Okay, well, we're getting to the point where we're at that happy hour where most lives people tend to
Yeah.
drop off. If there's any other questions on the audience right there, go ahead and type them in. We'll ask them away. Final thoughts, comments on your book. Tell people more what they need to do, where they need to go, what needs to happen next.
Okay, I think we have some Kickstarter links in the universe here somewhere. So right now, go click notify me on the Kickstarter link. You will need to create a free Kickstarter account. You just go to the very bottom. It says create new account. Click follow me, and then that way you'll get a notification immediately on November 11th at 8 a.m. when the Kickstarter goes live. At that point in time, you will be able to back the project by, anything as little as, back it by $1 just because you support the project, or $15 gets you the ebook version. 35 gets you the, I hope I remember all these right, the softcover version. We've got some signed hardcover versions that are only available on Kickstarter. If you're a fan of Keith Code, who wrote the series Twist of the Wrist and who is the founder of the California Superbike School, him and I are collabing on a collector's edition, dual signed version. Again, super sort of Kickstarter only. There's also, this is a very important featured tier. There is a tier for $125. You can donate, you can support a rider. I think I mentioned this earlier. $25 goes to my youth rider development program. And then you get entered in and could potentially, win a day at the Superbike School anywhere in the United States, including a BMW rental. So that's a huge bonus.
Yeah.
You get entered into the bonus draw for that. And it helps, the kids that I love to coach.
Right.
Last year, I coached a bunch of kids in Alberta through a youth development program. And the more I can give back to the youth, especially, that's where the money in that fund goes. There's also other fun things like, at the higher tiers, you can do a coaching call or video analysis with me. We can do a track day and some private coaching. There's lots of fun options. So be there on launch day, especially. The earlier you get, the more likely you are to get those early rewards, but it also helps make it more likely that the project will get funded. It's more of a movement than just a single book, because I am trying to do the whole series. And I do think this will be very valuable to riders in general who can learn from what I put in this book and the book series. And yeah, just in general, appreciate everyone being there.
Great.
Appreciate you. Love the friendship and the whole story behind all of this as well. And yeah, really thankful for
where can folks when they watch this, because it's going to be on the YouTubes and people do go back and watch lives for fun, where can people find you on the socials?
On socials
down in the description as well, but we'd like to hear it from you.
Basically, if you type in my name, Misti Hurst, and that's Misti with an I, MistiHurst, it's mistihurst.com, or you'll find me, Misti Hurst, on Facebook. It's Misti Hurst Racing on Instagram, but basically you type in those, you should be able to find me. And then mainly just jumping on the Kickstarter right now, clicking notify me, telling all your friends, be there on launch day on November 11th. The more that I can get support immediately when it launches, it will be available for 30 days. Just the initial, kick, you'll know this, good for the algorithm, good for all that.
Yep.
Be there, support. And then, yeah, down the road, once I have a better idea of, publishing times and when we'll actually have a physical copy in hand, should be, July, I think is what I'm saying safely, next year. And then we can look at some fun launch parties or programs. And obviously, if you see me out there, I'll sign it and, can be available. But yeah, any support initially would be super awesome. And yeah, I'm going to try to be at the event next year as well. And think what you're doing is great as well. And for everyone else that follows you, once I put my website live, it's all intentionally directing everyone to Kickstarter right now. But once it doesn't, there's stories of, the Gliffy, the Get Lost, Find Yourself event, more so some of the, the deeper stories behind your reasoning for that. And then also I'll just say, keep an eye out for the next edition of Motorcycle Mojo magazine, because I think you might also like the story that comes out in that.
Ooh,
just saying.
The next edition. Everybody go subscribe.
Keep in mind for that. Yeah. And
All right.
basically, thank you for this. I know I sort of put it on you as like, hey, let's
No,
have
it's
a
been fun.
conversation.
I really enjoyed sitting down talking with you. It's been fun. It's been cool.
Likewise.
You're taking off to Australia on the 11th.
Yes.
And any plans to do the Vancouver Motorcycle Show? Will you be there? That's January.
End of January. Yeah. You know what?
Mid January. I
I
didn't know if you'd
will.
be there with Motorcycle Mojo again or not.
Yeah, I'll probably be kicking around at some point. And
There you go, guys.
yeah.
If you're in the Vancouver area, January 14 through 16, I believe, motorcycle show in Abbotsford Tradex at the Abbotsford Tradex. Misty will be there. You'll be able to come and meet her
I will.
in person. Maybe get a pre-book launch autograph type thing.
Ooh,
Like that would be
maybe.
worth a lot of money because it's before the book, right?
There you
Before
go.
the notoriety fame of being a published author. And
All the logistics is like very
That's right,
challenging
that's
in
right.
figuring this out. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
Excellent. Okay, I guess that's that. People watching, if you want to, help support me and what I'm doing, consider becoming a channel member, consider becoming a patron. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll have more guests. I'll have Misty back, I'm sure. And yeah, I guess we'll just tell everybody good night and have a good day at work tomorrow, because it is a Thursday. Normally I do these on a Friday, but
Oh,
it's
that's right.
Thursday.
Okay. And a quick shout out to my daughter who was watching. I think she's like Menace to Society is what her handle name was or whatever. But yeah,
I remember seeing that handle up there someplace. Yes.
she is there. So she did tell me to shout out. She likes the YouTube lives, and so that was cool. And
Excellent.
to whoever else, I know one of my students, Matt Mueller, is watching. He set up with pizza and whiskey, and I think is a new subscriber. Of course, my sister and such, and whoever else stayed this long, thank you so much.
Yes, everybody, thanks for showing up. As Kevin just said, until next time, get out there and ride. And I will try to end this at the right time, because normally it cuts me right off mid.
Ooh.
Let's just try this. Boom. Okay. So I think the stream is ended now. So
Okay.
it's ended, so we're done. So I hope that went okay for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Appreciate all that. I was going to make some joke about you not having a beard anymore. And now I can't take you seriously because I'm like, who am I talking to? Guy doesn't look the same anymore.
You'll be thankful that I did shave it off. I don't know if you saw the photo of me for Halloween.
No.
Get Summer to send it to you.
Oh my gosh.
If you see all the Glitter Moto comments, and if you go back and look at the comments, there's Glitter Moto.
Okay.
That was basically me at Halloween. So
Glitter,
I had a beard, and I did the whole down here mutton chops and everything, and long hair, and oh my gosh.
Oh, she says it's still on. My daughter says it's still on.
Oh, is it? Okay, good.
She can still...
Okay,
so they
bye.
can all hear what I was talking about. Bye.
I did end it. Did I end it?